We begin in Big Timber this morning, where flames have ripped through the former Sweetgrass County High School, also threatening nearby buildings. Take a look at these photos posted to the Big Timber Buzz Facebook page. You can see flames covering the roof and shooting out of windows. We were first alerted about the fire around 2 o'clock this morning. The City of Big Timber Fire Department is on scene, and they will be all morning until the flames are completely knocked out. There is no official word on cause or what part of the building the fire began in. This building has sat empty for more than 30 years and was built back in 1905. A big concern for Big Timber residents this morning is its close proximity to other buildings. The fire is in a building that's right next door to the Civic Center, which is the white building you see on the left there, as well as the public library and a few homes. So a big investigation ahead for the Big Timber Fire Department. If we get official word on the cause or any other details, we will update you sometime this morning during the show. Now on to national news. Victims are being remembered in Las Vegas as authorities continue to investigate why a gunman opened fire on a crowded music festival. The carnage has led to a rare agreement over gun control between Republicans and Democrats. CBS's Seth Lim is on Capitol Hill to explain.
Mourners in Las Vegas lit candles for Charleston Hartfield overnight, the off-duty police officer killed in Sunday's mass shooting. 58 white crosses now line the Las Vegas Strip, a tribute to all the concertgoers killed by Stephen Paddock that day. Investigators are still trying to figure out what led the 64-year-old to open fire at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. Officials say he may have had his eyes on other outdoor events with large crowds. They say he booked but never checked into a hotel room in Chicago overlooking the Lollapalooza Music Festival. Same goes for rooms overlooking another festival in Las Vegas and around Boston's Fenway Park.
Until they can actually completely complete this investigation, we're not going to know what was on his mind.
The massacre in Las Vegas has some Republicans here on Capitol Hill open to the idea of banning the piece of equipment the gunman used to make his semi-automatic gun fire like a fully automatic one. Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein has already introduced legislation that would ban the import and sale of bump stocks. House Speaker Paul Ryan thinks Congress should consider the idea.
Fully automatic weapons have been outlawed for many, many years. This seems to be a way of going around that.
On Thursday, the NRA also signaled its support. Seth Lemon for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Trump, when asked his opinion on banning bump stocks, told reporters, quote, "We'll be looking into that over the next short period of time." Also making headlines this morning, Tropical Storm Nate is being blamed for more than 20 deaths in Central America. Nate is on a path toward potential landfall on the U.S. Gulf Coast this weekend, where it could cause dangerous flooding. Officials in the Florida Panhandle are keeping a close eye on the storm, and parts of coastal Louisiana are being evacuated. Continuing our coverage from Crow Agency, residents are still without clean water this morning after test results came back inconclusive. Crow Tribe officials expect to receive a second round of results sometime this morning. This comes after vandals caused more than $1 million in damages to the tribe's water treatment facility. The vandals broke into the facility Wednesday and shot at computers, a tank of chlorine, and equipment, destroying much of the plant's technology that's responsible for treating the tribe's water. Crucial water data was also destroyed in the process. For now, residents must use bottled water until the plant is back online. Authorities have not said if a suspect is still in custody. On to state news. It looks like Governor Steve Bullock may get some help from the legislature to fill the state's $227 million budget hole. But first, he'll have to decide some substantial budget cuts on his own. Lawmakers on a key budget panel acknowledged Thursday that the legislature likely will have to meet in a special session to scrape up some new revenue. But the Legislative Finance Committee recommends that the governor first ordered spending cuts with the least impact on most vulnerable citizens and local property taxes. Key lawmakers said the rest of the budget hole could be filled by some budget transfers or temporary tax hikes. It's an approach that has fixed budget issues in the past.
I think, as is what has been the case in the past, I think that it's going to have to be the case this time, where we can provide some leadership on trying to find that balance and respond to the situation. I think if we do that, and we do that together, we can resolve this and minimize the adverse impacts on our citizens.
Governor Steve Bullock says he's pleased that lawmakers recognize 10% cuts are too deep, but says they failed Thursday to offer any concrete solutions. He was in Billings Thursday and spoke at the Montana Carbon Capture Forum. Governor Steve Bullock says $227 million in cuts could have been mitigated if the legislature did not have what he calls an unrealistic revenue estimate. As for the budget, he says he would not like to see cuts to hospice and early intervention. In Laurel, authorities say the student who brought a gun into school grounds earlier in the week apparently pointed the weapon at students. Laurel police say the suspect is a student at the middle school, but no name or age was given. We're told the student had the gun on school property after school hours and later pointed the weapon at several students off of school grounds. The investigation has yet to determine if the weapon was loaded, but authorities say a magazine was nearby. No students were injured. The investigation is ongoing and no arrests have been made. From the University of Montana campus, newly minted President Seth BODNAR is preparing to transition into his new role. Of the 4 finalists for the job, BODNAR was the only one without prior university administrative experience or a doctorate. But his military history and background in business gave him the edge, landing him the position as the 18th University of Montana president. BODNAR says he will do his best to be a transparent leader and will actively seek input from faculty and students. He says he's eager to begin the transition process, but above all, BODNAR says he's excited to meet and engage with UM students.
I like to get to know students and really understand their challenges, their perspective, and see their daily lives, and make sure that I, as the president, am serving their interests like I should be.
BODNAR will arrive in Missoula next week and will begin working with current UM President Sheila Stearns towards a smooth transition. He takes the reins at UM starting January 1st, 2018. In other news, methamphetamine use is driving a spike in violent crime here in Montana. It's up 35% over the past 5 years. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced a new twist to an old plan yesterday by adding funds to the Project Safe Neighborhoods program. Sessions says they will offer grant money to hire more police officers and prosecutors. A recent report shows a 500% increase in meth-related crimes over the past 5 years in Montana. Project Safe Neighborhoods was first launched in 2001 when meth was a growing problem. Today, it's labeled an epidemic. The new U.S. Attorney for Montana, Kurt Alme, has hope in the project.
Gun violence certainly is used by drug traffickers, or firearms are used by traffickers and dealers and pushers to enforce drug deals. We know that people will commit crimes in order to get the money that they need to purchase meth. And we know that individuals who are on meth tend to be more violent, whether it's in a domestic violence setting, sexual assault setting, assault and battery setting. It impacts violent crime in all those ways.
Alme filled the vacant U.S. Attorney's seat back in September. Well, before we take a break, the president of the Boys and Girls Club of America brought his vision and passion for the youth of America to Billings. Jim Clark spoke to Billings community leaders on Thursday morning at the Northern Hotel in a presentation entitled State of the Youth Breakfast. As the head of an organization that serves 4 million young people across the nation, Clark has a unique perspective on the future leaders of the country, many who are living in poverty.
Kids today are the largest segment of our age population that lives in poverty. It's kids, which is really horrific when you think about our country. And then if you look at Yellowstone County and the families, the kids attending the Boys and Girls Club here, it's 20%, a little less than 20% throughout the country. Here it's 35%. So it just magnifies and really points to the challenge in front of all of us, and certainly right here, that we've got to come up with some solutions so that kids have the opportunity and access to other experiences and to level the playing field so that they can go on to be successful. So that's really what's the challenge in front of us. That's what we're working on.
There are currently 5 clubhouses in Billings that provide after-school and summer programs for as many as 750 kids each day across Yellowstone County. Clark praised the partnerships the Boys and Girls Clubs have with the Billings and Lockwood school districts, which he pointed out is now being copied in other cities across the nation.